Words Too Wrong is a song I came up with. It was actually 02/02/2020, and I thought that date should play a factor into my song, so it ended up being a palindrome song in terms of the structure. So it starts the same way it ends. Sometimes with a song, I just get a lyric that sticks and that inspires the entire song. So I was just playing along on guitar, and I had this line, "She was going 65." Somehow that inspired this whole song. If you listen to it, kind of a tragic car crash that isn't inspired by real life. Yeah,
There is kind of a history of folk songs, though, about car crashes. There was like kind of a popular wave of those in the mid-'60s.
I wonder what was in the air. Just 3 strings being strummed at the same time. So it was a very easy song to play for the music video. Yeah, it was a very interesting experience. 17 cameras scattered around me. I think it would have been very different if I had, 17 camera people operating those cameras. It would have felt much different. Jason running around, turning record on all these old cameras. It's really funny. And you hid them pretty well, too.
Yeah, some are in the shots and some aren't, so wasn't trying to hide them too much. They kind of reveal each other in a way, too.
So tell me what inspired you to do this music video.
I'd had the idea for a while. The first thing, just watching like music documentaries where you get to experience a certain musician through a bunch of different media as you kind of look at them throughout their career in a documentary. So I thought it would be really interesting to try to capture that vibe in just one shoot in one video. And also the second thing was having all these random cameras around that I haven't parted with, or some of my filmmaker friends haven't parted with, have just kept. Just thought I'd put them all to use. Justify keeping them around.
It was especially fun seeing the VHS footage because it brought back things I forgot about, like you'll see the play button on there and like video calibration.
I think that's one of the reasons I like mixed media and playing around with different cameras, is because they do kind of hit a certain nostalgia button or psychological button of, especially when you're talking about consumer cameras that a lot of people have had.
This was a grand experiment for you. Do you think you'd ever use this technique again?
Yeah, I think it was actually not as stressful as I thought it might be. It kind of, re-engaged a certain part of my brain that kind of remembered the time where I was using this camera or using that camera and remembering each of their little quirks and, just kind of riding a bike with each one.
Tell me about your editing process.
So I thought it might be really interesting to edit them very structured. So like each camera got an equal amount of time. And so I tried to mathematically calculate, the frame rate to the BPM of the song to, the flow of the song and to how many cameras I had. So it kind of goes through in a very systematic way. Kind of at a musical changing point, it's cycled through all of the cameras. So then they go through the cycle again, and this time they have crossfades, so you start to see them all kind of bleed into each other. And then they go through again and they start to accelerate in tempo. And then the video ends with them all being kind of layered on top of each other. And so you see that they truly are all the same take. Each of your tiny little movements you see from every single angle, and you see that they are, in fact, one take.
Yeah, I love that effect. It's like bug eye, but from so many different angles. We should mention that you've actually made all these layers of video available to people, any editors out there who might want to take a crack at it and make their version.
Yep, all 17 cameras. I've got them all synced up and in a folder for people to download if they want to make their own version and see if they can tackle it in a different way.
So get in touch with Jason. He'll give you the link.
How did it feel to have so many cameras on you at once? I mean, luckily just me as one operator, but...
It would be different if I was seeing all the camera operators, since they're all just stationary. It was like having an audience of cameras. I was out in the woods, and it felt like I was just kind of on my own playing my song. I think we only did 4 takes, and I don't know which take you ended up using, but... Number 3, okay. There's a lot of fortuitous things, like the wind would be blowing leaves around, and the clouds were passing overhead right as I was talking about fog. Worked out nicely.
Yeah, we ended up having a beautiful day for it, and then, just a week later, because it's Minnesota, it started to snow. One of the last nice, truly autumn-looking days. I think part of it too is a lot of my background is doing in like live event recordings where you do have to kind of think about a lot of different cameras and angles and what's covering what on one subject.
What was your method in terms of like, how'd you pick the camera angles?
I kind of set the cameras up in a circle around you.
Running out of tripod.
And then as I went to each camera, I tried to make sure they were a little different than the previous. And I also tried to integrate them so that it was like a E&G style camera, a DV camera, a VHS camera, a DSLR. And then it was just like 4 sets of those. I didn't plan it out too specifically, but I just kind of intuited it as I covered one angle with one camera, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm slightly off axis, but maybe I'll change the focal length and try to get something a little different.
Well, I like that it could be like any era of music video, including like someone having a GoPro on their guitar looking at me. That just felt like late 90s or something. It was fun.
Some of the visual interest too would be just seeing the contrast of these right next to each other. You don't often see a cell phone video right next to a DV cam, right next to a VHS, right next to a DSLR. So a lot of different angles, a lot of different cameras all on one subject, and a sort of, very kind of straightforward, simple song. I think it worked out. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for doing this video, Jason.